Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon to everyone, especially to our guest speaker today, our own Unimas colleague, Mr. Chua Kiman, who just came back from his study leave. Report yesterday, 4 bulan
Yeah.
10, hari
Yes.
akademia. Okay, senang nak ingat, Kiman. So
Yeah.
welcome back. Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you for accepting our invitation for the webinar today. So for those who are new to Unimas, saya kena bagi brief sikit lah tentang Kiman. Okay.
Oh,
Mr. Chua Kiman is a senior lecturer at the Faculty of Education, Language and Communication with expertise in the fields of educational technology, computational linguistics, learning sciences, and instructional design. He has won numerous awards at national and international levels for his innovative approaches to teaching and learning, as well as assistive technology. So with this wealth of knowledge and experience, which is related to our webinar today, the topic, which is prevalence of generative AI tools in teaching and learning. We hope that Kiman can share his experience and knowledge with this aspect. So in the rapid evolving landscape of education, technology has played an increasing pivotal role in shaping the way that we teach and learn. So over the past few years, we have witnessed a remarkable rise of the use of generative AI tools that has revolutionized education processes, make it more engaging, accessible, and personalized than ever before. Thus, as we venture into the world of AI-driven education, Education 4.0, I have no doubt that our speaker expertise will provide us with invaluable insight and inspire us to explore this new horizon in education. So without further ado, please join me in extending a warm virtual welcome to Mr. Chua Kiman. So over to you, Kiman. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kartini, for the gracious introduction, and also to everyone who are here today. I hope you can hear me, because I'm not sure whether my microphone is working. I had to change at the very last minute. The other one just
Loud and clear.
just broke down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Luckily, you have backup microphones all the time. Yeah, it's been a while since I last did a webinar. Yesterday I had a similar session with the lecturers from Faculty of Applied Art and Applied and Creative Arts. Similar topic, but more on the assessment bit on how to avoid plagiarism and all that. But I'll be touching that as well. But today's topic given to me is the prevalence of generative AI tools in teaching and learning. I guess, as the title suggests, we are heading towards, they call it the next normal, not the new normal, the next normal, where everything in our teaching and learning will be kind of governed by generative AI tools. Whether you like it or not, whether you are against it or whether you're supporting it, you just have to know that this will be the trends that not only us, but only our students will be probably far ahead than us when it comes to all these tools. So yeah, I'm gonna share my slide first. Okay, things should be there now. Right. So let me start off with the kind of like the overview of what I will be covering. Only 3 parts, not really specifically like 3 parts as in 3 compartments, but more on the issues that I would like to talk about, more on the current trends, some useful tools. Not many because of the time. I limited to about 4. We'll take a look at some tools apart from the common one that we know you keep hearing, which is the Chat GPT. There are many other underrated tools that I think could have been used wisely in our teaching and learning. And last one will be, of course, the most popular topic of all when it comes to this generative AI is the issues of ethics and integrity when it comes to the usage, right? So I hope all of you can also, just chip in and have a healthy conversation about this, because whatever I'm sharing is based on my experience and also my, my own discussion and conversation with other academics from different parts of the world. So first one is overview and current trends. I'm sure you are aware of what's happening. And one of the key question now is AI threatening educators, or specifically us in higher education. You see a lot of issue these days where not only people are linking employment with higher education, people are saying that a lot of graduates are not getting jobs. We are also under pressure to make sure that our curriculum, our teaching and learning remain relevant in with regards to the changes that is happening. Like, I'm sure if you have been teaching for quite some time, like let's say probably like some of us here who are more than 2 decades, you will realize that the generation that you're teaching has somehow disvalue disvalue the sharing that we're giving them, because they are looking for something else, something different all the time in our classes. If you start opening your slides and start talking and then just go through slide by slide, they will give you different types of reaction as compared to before, because you are probably the sole provider of knowledge. Now we are no longer the sole provider of knowledge, and they're looking for something else, right? Something different in our teaching and learning environment. As stated here, not just AI, I guess, in any kinds of tools, if we fail to look into what's lacking in our current teaching and learning practices, we will remain, maybe increasingly irrelevant in the future, right? Because imagine you don't know any of the tools mentioned today, and then suddenly your students are using it, and you don't know what to do because you somehow are not catching up with the trend. So something for us to also think about, right? But before I go further, I would like to also get your view on this. So as usual, do a simple poll or simple opinion gathering kind of activity. You just have to use your phone and scan the QR code, or maybe just if you're using browser, then you can just type in the link. I'll put it in the chat as well, I guess. Let me see if I can type it out. Oh, it's here. My Webex is not showing it. Are you able to go in? Somehow my Webex is. Oh, okay, now can chat. Okay, this is the link. Oh yeah, the getting need to type. All right, are you able to go in? And yeah, you should be able to see. Now I'm gonna show it real time. I just want to see whether, when it comes to AI, apart from the big word like assessment, what do you really want to do? For example, assessment, do you think AI can help you reduce your marking load, maybe, help you with grading, or for teaching, what do you want AI to do for you, right? Or maybe something else, okay? Let's see, but the way let me just show you now. If you go by grade, then you have a few here, quite common: content, activities, rubrics, idea to make activities meaningful. You can see a lot of word: content, activities, evaluation, assessment with interesting rubric. Okay, right? Yeah, I think if you were to put it in a cloud, you can see like these are the key things that normally we are struggling with, right? Not so much on not so much on content or on the curriculum, because you have it ready, like you have it ready in the form of slides or whatever. But normally you will probably have problems in generating ideas for activities, for how do you test your students, or how do you assess your students on that kind of uh, challenges that you normally face. I can see here quite a lot here. Even see self-instructional materials. You have um, planning, writing assistant, drafting. Yeah, we'll take a look at some of example later. But if based on what you're giving me now, based on this word cloud, it's quite clear that we are focusing more on the output or the outcome, right? Because if you are giving something, that will be content, but the activities and all this assessment is something that you want to generate from all these AI tools. Okay. In other words, like I told the colleagues yesterday, we just want AI to make our life easier as an educator, because anything that requires our intervention normally will take more time, right? We know that the moment you want something to be done more tediously, then it means we have to invest more time. That's the challenge that normally that we are facing. Okay, so thank you for the responses, because we probably need to move on, but you can continue giving your ideas on this. But generally, as I can see from all the responses, is quite standard, quite generic. I mean, quite common. All right, as but yeah, but if you take a look at all the responses that you have given, I mean, the like I mentioned, the activities and assessment and all that, we we still have to be involved, right? Because we cannot rely solely on AI. So this is quite what we normally say as human AI, where we are looking for assistance. So we're using AI as an a different type of AI, assisted intelligence, and then we are also using it to augment or to elevate our intellectual capability. So that's augmented intelligence, where not only us but students are also using it. For example, you ran out of ideas, you need some help. Apart from getting help from AI, you are actually elevating or increasing your level of intelligence, so called, by getting some ideas generated from AI. So it's still human AI. Pretty much, you're still heavily involved in this process, because the decision making is up to you. Even if the AI tool can generate all this output, it's still up to you to decide whether you want to use it or not, or whether you want to make changes to it. But up to the level of AI, like automation or autonomous, these are more to industrial level kind of usage. You can see all these AI tools being used in the industry, from robotics, from all this autonomous machine and all that. Those are more to industry. But when it comes to education or teaching and learning, I would say we are still pretty much involved. People have been talking about robots teaching the class over the past 3 or 4 decades, but it never happened, right? We still are heavily involved. But sooner or later, right? Sooner or later, if we are no longer needed in the process, then AI will take over and everything will be automated, everything will be autonomous. Imagine a learner can just enroll a course online, everything is marked by AI, everything is, the feedback, everything is done by AI. You don't need to be involved. The person is certified, and then you get the automated degree, for example. Like everything is running on its own without any human intervention. That would be probably the ultimate outcome of AI in education, right? At the moment, we're still pretty much involved, right? So these are some of the things that AI is doing in education, not just recently, over for so many years already, just that the generative AI tools is making it even more mainstream in a way. It's like AI has been there for so many years, but it's in the background. But suddenly, all these generative AI tools make it even more popular, make it even more visible. So things like adaptive learning, assistive learning, all these resources, you have all this type, setting with algorithm and whatnot. It's been there for quite some time. It's just that now is making your life easier, because it's putting it at the front for you to try and use it. Okay. So what is generative AI? For the benefit of those who have never heard of this word, or maybe just heard somebody talk about it but never really go into it. Um, the term quite controversial, quite controversial, to be honest, because some people disagree with the way it's defined. But I think generally we can use the word generative because it's generating something. So put it simply, you just use AI capable of generating text, images, or other media using generative models. Some generative models are for different different media. For example, in for text, normally they will call it LLM, large language models. The word models here is like a collection of rules or collection of neural network formulas and all that, to how they use all these things to generate for you. Now the thing is, before this, all these are running behind. Like I said, it's been around, but then you don't realize that it's happening. But because of generative AI, you are now in the front seat of controlling what's going to happen. Maybe a couple of decades ago, only the developers will be doing this, right? Those into IT or computer science will be the one doing all this hands-on or generating things. But now, these tools are making it easier or friendlier, with a suitable interface for you to do it on your own without the need of any developer. I think that's the game-changing part here, where you are no longer depending on those with computer science background or any IT background, practically anyone without any scientific or computer science background can actually do this, right? Because of that, it becomes very popular. So there are many now. These are just like a very, very small tip of the iceberg, as you can see. The popular one, of course, now everyone like the talk of the town is ChatGPT, and there are a couple more, like even Google Bard is not mentioned here, but I will talk about it slightly later. But the upcoming one is this one, Cloud. Actually, if you were to compare the capability, Cloud AI is more powerful, but it's limited to certain area in US only. This one, Cloud AI. Maybe one day when it's released to the public, then you realize that it's more powerful than the GPT engine. So they use a different type of form, but you can see all these tools are around. And for image, I think the popular one is Midjourney, and now Adobe Firefly is also becoming even more popular. And all these popular tools like Canva, any other tools, I think practically any apps that you go into will start to have this element of generative AI. They will tell you now we can do it for you. You don't have to do it. We do it for you. We do the slide for you. We everything. Even now, if I don't want to do this webinar, I can type everything out, and then I can generate a video of myself talking with my own fake voice using all these synthetic voices and running the whole webinar without me being here. I could be on vacation somewhere. I can just ask Dr. Kartini to hit play, and then I'll be talking like I'm here. But actually, I'm not. Things like that, because the tools are already available. But in terms of efficiency, I think it's still quite some time to go for them to improve. But things to consider. All these tools, all these generative AI tools and everything, is quite easy to be excited, and I want to try everything. I think those who have been following my webinar or my talk or my videos and everything, I always go for the rule or just go for something that you're comfortable. You don't have to go for many. Just go for one that you're really comfortable with, and then just try it out and use it. You don't have to go and try and learn everything, because it's just so impossible to learn every single tool out there. And the thing is, they are quite similar in a way, because they are running using the same model. Like all the tools mentioned, even though they are with different names, they are based on GPT by OpenAI. Just that they pay OpenAI to use the enterprise version or API and everything. But we don't need to know that. All we need to know that it works for us. We use it, and then we see whether it can help us with our teaching and learning. So something for you to consider is always the course content and expected outcomes. What do you want to achieve from the course or from the teaching and learning processes? In a way, like, do you really need AI to help you come up with the content, or come up with some activities, or come up with all this assessment or tasks, or even approaches? Sometimes you lack of ideas. Let's say you want to use gamification. You don't really know how to use gamification in your teaching and learning. You have your outcome. So you can go to tools like ChatGPT, give ChatGPT your learning outcomes, and tell ChatGPT, can you suggest gamified activities that I can do based on this learning objective? Then it will generate some ideas. It's not definite. It's not like everything is perfect, but at least you get a general idea of how gamification can be used according to your objective. So that helps you to kind of elevate your mental capacity, which is why I say it's augmented intelligence. It's helping you to be slightly intelligent, as if you know everything, but you're actually getting help from ChatGPT. Another one is assessment, formative and summative. Based on my sharing so far, especially for the past 2 years, I noticed a lot of lecturers or even academics in higher education, they are more obsessed with number 4, because that is the most challenging one. Not only in terms of marking and grading, it's also in terms of preparing. Um, you know, every now and then you need to prepare assessment. If you are doing final exam, then you have to do some preparation for the question items, MCQ, and different types of question to ask students. So this is the challenging part. So we have a tendency to recycle, right? Before this, we have a tendency to recycle because we just don't have time to really test out new questions. But with generative AI now, you I mean, the possibility is endless. You can generate as many types of question you want, and then in a short time, and then you decide whether you want to use it either for either for formative purposes or for summative purposes. But these are really critical, because you don't want to use it just for the sake of using it, because you need to know why you need to use AI in the first place, right? The same thing with the students. You need to educate them and ask, tell them to ask themselves, whether there is a need to even rely on all these tools. If they need it, then they have to justify, at least personal at the personal level. I need to use this because I'm running out of ideas, so I need to get help from all these generative AI to get more ideas. If the goal is just to make life easier, for example, like what I shared yesterday with the lecturers, some students treat generative AI as an escape button. For example, tomorrow is the deadline. So they're using all these generative AI tools, regardless what it is, just to generate the output for you to mark, right? For you to assess, like last minute work. Tomorrow is the deadline. Today, because I don't have time, so I just ask ChatGPT to write a whole essay for me, for example. That is not proper use, of course, and that's not benefiting to the students because basically they are not using it to augment the intelligence. They are just using it to replace the intelligence or to just make their life easier. So which is very dangerous because they end up copy and pasting. Which I think if you notice that's happening in your class or that's happening in your courses, um, it's worrying. Not in terms of generative AI, it's actually revealing the pursuit of knowledge among the students. What is concerning is when a student did that, they will do it regardless with AI, with AI available or not, right? Just that now, because you have generative AI, it makes it easier for them to do it. Because before this, probably they have to go to Google, search for some existing assignment, and then they copy and paste the same assignment from other universities and so on and whatnot. But now they have this tool to help them do it. So that makes it even more, like dangerous in that sense. Okay. Another one is implementation. If you want to really use it, or even at our level, if we want to use it at our university level, we need to also ensure that it's an um, equitable game in a way like everyone has access to AI tools. You don't want your class, for example, 50 of them, only 10 knows all this, and the 40 of them have no clue, right? Or they don't have access to it and they don't know what's happening. Yesterday, one lecturer shared how this student, who was an intern at a company, performed brilliantly well because he has access to all the AI tools and he can fulfill all the requirements from the employer in a short time. And the employer got very impressed with this intern because the rest of the interns somehow didn't have the opportunity to learn all these tools. They fell out from the race in a way. So it's creating disadvantage as well among all this the graduates that we're producing or the students that we're producing. So if you want to really promote this, we need to help everyone, not just only those who have access to it. Learners and educators, DJs, computers again. Someone raised this yesterday, I remember. We talk about learners, actually educators as well. A lot of educators may have heard of OpenAI, ChatGPT, but maybe only a handful actually tried it. They have heard it, but they have not used it because they don't know what's so important about using ChatGPT, for example. Another one is academic safety net. We also need to have this ready. What happened is they use all these AI tools and they start to do some, and unwanted activities or unwanted tasks and all that. So you have to get ready that what are you going to do about it, right? And also compliance to current standards. In our case, that will be different types of standard like MQA and whatnot, whether it's allowed for you to whether you are allowed to do this in a larger scale and so on. Okay, so these are some consideration first for you to think about. But these are some AI proving consideration. I call it as AI proving means that I raised the same question. So why do you still give the same assessment knowing that the students will end up doing copy and pasting? Like, why do you still keep giving it? For example, you give an assignment, let's say write a 3-page essay on a topic, for example. You know that this kind of assessment will probably generate a lot of copy and pasting from ChatGPT output because it's just so open-ended and it's very text-based. You have no specific instruction for them to prove that they have done it on their own. So you need to be careful on that because we need to start AI proving our assessment. First one is focus on the affective domain now. The knowledge domain is quite dominant in our assessment, right? In a way, like whatever assessment that we have been designing, we focus a lot on the knowledge aspect, right? They need to identify some points from articles and whatnot, and then write the in the form of essay or complete projects and all that. But all those things can be done easily with generative AI tools now. But the moment you want it to be more personalized in a way, like involving the affective domain, it's quite easy to detect. Now, even if you go to all these generative AI tools, start to ask it some personal question, it will be quite obvious that they are using the tools because your experience is quite unique, right? For example, you're from Samarahan. If you ask ChatGPT to write something about Samarahan, you will notice that it just writes something out of whatever they can get from internet, which somehow doesn't reflect the actual situation or the actual setting that you are experiencing or the experience that you are going through. So probably you need to focus more on that. So you have to like I shared yesterday as well, you can focus on the all this knowledge based stuff. You focus more on the action part, which is very related to this. Like if you want to test knowledge, instead of text, ask them to write essay. Might as well ask them to present or something which is very productive in a way, like you can judge them immediately. If you are teaching them arts, for example, like how to draw, then you should be judging them how they hold the paintbrush, how they color and everything, not on the essay, right? Not on the like a lengthy write up and whatnot, because that's not the way it was supposed to be done, right? Of course, promote collaboration is quite controversial because in the context of Malaysia, collaborative work is not really popular. Not popular because students tend to have a lot of problems with that in terms of free riding and all that. But it's still a good way of proving AI proving your assessment because you have more heads there. So they can't really rely solely on uh, all these tools to make up some output because they still have to do some discussion and prove that they have done it. But one thing that I want to highlight here is this HOT strategy. Now, of course, HOT here is quite commonly misunderstood, as in you must reach that higher level of thinking skill, like for example all this Bloom taxonomy where you are using it like creating and all. Not really. I mean, just increase a little bit from the existing level now that you have. But the key thing here is this one: focus on real evidences. Let's say you have no choice, but you require them to write an essay, for example. You have no choice, but you still, because you're teaching writing, like in my faculty, for example, we have a lot of language courses. It's part of the course, right? Writing is part of the course. You know that if you were to give them the writing assignment, they would definitely generate it from, maybe not everyone, but some will go to ChatGPT and generate the essay in one night and then submit to you. You know that's going to happen, right? You know that will happen. So how do you stop that? Easy. See, I say it's easy. Focus on real evidences. Before they can even write the essay, ask them to print out the journal articles, the references, highlight and present to you what did they get from each of those articles, let's say 5 of them, the real evidences, the hard evidences, tell you what they have gained, then write the essay based on those evidences, all those 5. If they start writing something else from the references or from the materials they have gathered, then you know that they generated from somewhere else, which may not be meaningful. You can also tell them that they can use generative AI to as a model, like how to structure the sentences, how to write your introduction. Fine, no problem. But the content, the core of the discussion should come from all these evidences that you have gathered. So they learn to model good writing, but at the same time, they're putting effort to prove to you that they have done sufficiently to make sure that this product is not solely from ChatGPT. Because if you don't have this in your rubrics, for example, this requirement of real evidences, they will just generate for you because you don't ask them to do it, right? Like I was sharing yesterday as well. Let's say you ask your student to write an essay and then you say you must include 10 references. How many of you actually check the 10 references? I mean, honestly, let's say 50. We don't have time, right, to really check through all the references that they have gathered. Now it's even worse because all these tools can generate fake references as well, right? So in order to avoid that, you need to make sure that you train them. Go and find out this article, download it. If you need to print it out, if you don't want to read to be printed, at least highlight it and save it in, let's say, in a folder in a Google Drive, whatever, and share it to you. That that extra step itself is creating accountability to your students because they know that even though you won't check one by one, but at least you're giving a hint to your student that look, if I'm suspicious of your work, I have some, I have your drive to check. I mean, whatever link you give me, I can check, right? So if you don't have that, of course they will do all this copy and pasting and send it to you because you didn't require that. So have that extra level of steps, and indirectly actually you're promoting HOTS because they start to think, okay, now that I have to put it, now I have to think, how do I mix or how do I combine these ideas and make it more relevant to you. It's involving synthesis, it is involving analysis because they need to think, not just blindly copying. So have that extra bit where when you're designing your assessment. Another one is bias to action. Now I think I have seen some significant changes. No thanks to COVID, we like go. You remember during COVID and during remote learning, we reverse. Everything seems to be text based and maybe video based and whatnot because we don't have that chance to see the student. So everything seems to rely a lot on text, right? Even exams started to change into assignment and all. But now, because of digital AI, we have to reverse now. Somehow we cannot rely on text anymore. We have to go back to all this action. We have to rely more on there's something that you can see, something you can touch, something you can observe, everything. So it's like a reverse now. So no matter, even though you think that COVID-19 has made you even more comfortable with all this text-based evidences, suddenly it becomes irrelevant because of this generative AI too. So you have to be more cautious of this. For courses like engineering, even computer science, and if possible, ask them to do it, right? Instead of reporting based on literature and whatnot, ask them to do it, evaluate, present in front of you, talk to everyone, and explain the process to you. That would be more meaningful in terms of teaching or learning. So that would help you to avoid all this unnecessary, copy and pasting. But again, as I mentioned to you earlier, all this extra thing means more work, and more work to us means you know, tiring, no time, and all that. So you might want to balance that as well. Try not to make a tremendous change overnight, but try to see which part of your assessment or which part of teaching learning can make a difference in terms of the process of making it more AI proof, right? Okay, that's part one. Yeah, just nice. Any questions so far, just in case, so that we don't go to like uh listening to me talking for so long and then any questions so far? No, I don't see any questions here.
Kimas?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Uh,
somebody. I hear.
yes. I am Zanaria. I think I have
Okay.
question. Yeah,
Yes, yes.
regarding the HOTS that you're suggesting, it's very
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Let's say there is a scenario that
yeah.
student may copy main points from the readings, and then they
Mm-hmm.
ask AI to write. So
Mm,
so they ask AI to write. Um,
mm,
so the AI definitely will include all the points from the journal
mm.
article. So how? So now we lost the ability to know whether
Yeah.
it is written by the student or by AI.
When they give it to you, like if possible, as mentioned just now, you try to use a different means before the writing part. That means, for example, after they gathered the evidences, you might want to have a mini presentation first, and you from there you can test them. From there, you can test them whether they have really understood the main point or the articles that they have gathered. Again, that would require more work. What I mean here is like, for example, before you even allow them to proceed to the writing part, there might be some allocated marks for a quick, like maybe 5 minute presentation of the 5 articles. From there, you can ask them questions because the thing here is you have to be involved in the process. And when they start to realize that you are questioning certain things or certain, like just now you said that the sentence doesn't seem to reflect the articles that they have gathered, then you might want to dig deeper. Again, it's just a mechanism to kind of like test them to put them out of that comfort zone, because if you don't do that, they will be just happily copy and pasting without thinking that you're not doing anything, right? But I do agree with you. In fact, the clever ones, the more intelligent one will do that. They know how to beat the system in a way like they will copy the main points and ask ChatGPT, for example, to rewrite the whole parts for you, right? But there's another mechanism now, which later in part three, you can use some scanner to detect whether it was done by by the AI or by them. But the thing is, it goes back to the question: are you measuring the ability to write, or are you valuing or evaluating the idea or the, you know what I mean? Because if you are looking at writing skill, then definitely it's going to be very hard, because even now it's very hard for me to even assess a student in academic English, for example, whether they can write, because they can use all these things. But if you're in your course, for example, your focus is on the idea or the content, then it doesn't matter whether it's perfectly written or written in poor language or not, whatnot. You just want to see whether the idea is captured in your teaching and learning. But again, the clever one, the clever ones will really beat the system, right? But I do agree with you that Zanaria, in a way, that it's pretty hard to control. But at least you add that layer of discomfort for them, so that they know that they cannot blindly copy and pasting. So you like macam add another work for them and see whether they will still do that. If they still did that, meaning after you add all these layers and they still copy and paste or still ask generative AI to do everything, then you have to deal with them separately, like, as an isolate case, and talk to them and why, which part and all that, in helping them to be learning from the process as well. I hope I answer your question, but I have listed a few tools later on in part 3 that you can use to filter some of the AI generated text.
Okay, Kiman, thank you very much.
Yeah.
So Kiman, Kiman, so in part 3, I think you'll be answering Diana Nor
Yeah.
Khairul Nisa punya soalan lah kot,
Yeah.
kan?
I know.
Okay.
That's the hottest question.
All right.
Anytime when it comes to gender question, everyone is asking how do we
Plagiarism.
tag, how do we detect the plagiarism? But
Yeah.
I think we're asking the wrong question in a way. I mean, I'll go to that point later.
Sure.
Why I say we are asking the wrong question, because it's very hard to detect, honestly. No matter how good the system is, no matter how perfect it claims to be, it's just, how to put it, it's a dilemma that we will face. Because, give you one example, like I shared it yesterday as well with the FAGK, lecturers. When a student submit a thesis to you, or any FYP, or maybe a project to you, and when you had a hard time reading and understand it, what would you do? You will ask the student to pay someone to rewrite and proofread. Isn't that the same? That person is not writing the thesis. Somebody else is writing the thesis for him. But the idea, the result, the content, the data probably come from the person. The person actually collected data, did analysis, but somebody else is writing the thesis for him, for this person, for example. Right now, you don't need a person. You just need an AI to replace the person who is doing this editing and proofreading with an AI. Isn't that the same? In fact, with AI, the person who is doing this has to put more effort, because I have to, for example, if I'm using it, I have to tell this AI tool what to do. Can you help me rewrite and all that? If I pay someone, I don't have to do anything. Isn't that worse than generative AI? I mean, something for us to think. I agree with a lot of professors saying that we are asking the wrong question. Why are we saying that we need to stop people from using generative AI by detecting the error, right? But we should be asking the question whether, how can we make it better by teaching students to use it to their advantage and to our advantage as well, not to just make their life miserable and make our life miserable. I mean, something for us to also have a healthy conversation on in the later part of this sharing. Okay. Yeah. And yeah.
This is Shaziti.
Yeah.
I think it's a bit different though. Like if you ask somebody to proofread and rewrite, the thing has already been written, kan? Betul tak? But sometimes what students do is that they ask the AI to just write the whole thing for them, gitu.
Agree.
And then, yes, we do want to have a look at their, I mean, the main point is their ideas, but they also need to develop their language skills, kan? Because when they go out to work nanti, they still need to write reports. And
Actually, they don't need anymore, right?
That's why I've attended a few of these chat GPT talk gitu. And then I think my biggest concern is that everybody's lauding in this term like less thinking required. So
True.
so maknanya it worries me when per se less thinking is required, but I do
True.
see like, I mean, yelah orang kata you cannot turn the tide of technology kan.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it is here to stay. So I guess we have to see what we need to do.
I
One of
think
the
I think
things
yeah.
in terms of language, macam FYP kan. So I
Yeah,
mean
yeah.
more work on our side gitu. But what I did was I ambil dia punya language punya baseline gitu. So then you come see me, you sit in the room and then you write, one page essay or something,
Yeah,
and then I get their baseline.
correct.
So when I compare with the work submitted, then I would know this is definitely when students use words like brevity, right? It's not their work.
Yeah. Agree.
So
I mean,
how? Hmm.
yeah, I mean
So
that's the tricky part, Madam Sajiti, when it comes to
mm,
measuring writing skill. I mean, the best way to me, if you ask me honestly, I still prefer students sitting in front of me like what you did. Write it out for
mm,
me. I mean, rather than using computer and start to you type it out, because we know that if you ask them to bring back home and use the word processing tool, definitely whether with generative AI or not, the tendency to go and copy and paste will be there,
it's
right?
quite
And
high. And also
yeah,
the thinking skills is quite worrying because
yep. In
sometimes
fact,
when I do like I have this course called computational thinking. So like for
mm,
problem
mm,
solving. So
mm,
last sem I asked them to watch a movie, The Martian, and then
mm-hmm,
extract computational thinking from The Martian.
mm-hmm.
And then once I know about ChatGPT, I feed the question to ChatGPT.
Yeah.
ChatGPT can answer my assignment.
Yes, exactly.
it,
Yeah.
it can answer my assignment. So
Yep.
we are, even though we are looking for thinking skills, the
Yep.
ChatGPT can think for them. So we are in a apa orang panggil conundrum, what to do. Okay,
Yeah.
so I will listen to your third part,
Yeah. I
Save
mean, we
us,
had a
Iman, save us.
yeah. We had a very interesting talk. I mean, discussion with the faculty, FSGK lecturer yesterday on the same topic. Like, it's getting harder to even detect. Even if, let's say, even if we detect the students using generative AI tools, to me, it's not. I'm not like what was mentioned just now. It's not about copy and pasting. Actually, it actually shows their attitude towards knowledge and the pursuit, like I said, the pursuit of knowing, the pursuit of being curious and all that is gone to a lot of students, because what they see us is just a verification, just a certification agency. I told lecturers yesterday, whether we like it or not, they are treating us just as a verification or certification agents, because they don't really care whether they learn or not. They just want to produce something, get an A, get a B, get a C. That's it. If they care about learning, to be honest, they will be maximizing all these AI tools to their advantage to produce brilliant work, excellent ideas and all that. Not just simply just type in the question, get the content out and then send it to you. Because sadly, like what was mentioned by Madam Sajiti, a lot of students are getting along that line because of, I think, the economic pressure as well. All they care is, I want to get good results. I want to so-called get into good jobs. This is why when they go out, they can't get good jobs because they are just touching the basic skills of getting things done just to get the results that we claim that they get. We indirectly are becoming just a stamping officer. Good, you're good to go, you're out. But then learning wise, actually, they don't really value it. I think we know this, right? The moment you see students who are valuing your teaching, you see a whole difference in the way they learn, in the way they ask questions, in the way they do the assignment, the extra effort that they took in to produce the work. Those who just submit, copy and copy and pasting stuff, or maybe just a simple way, you will know that they are not in that having that kind of attitude towards knowledge. So that's something for us to be concerned, actually. Uh, not for me to save all of you, but then something for all of us to be trying our best to. I don't know whether we can solve this, but then sadly, whether we like it or not, the economic pressure is putting a lot of industry, even higher education, at a greater risk now. Ask any of your students, they don't really care if they learn anything from your course. They just want to know whether after they graduate, what kind of job they will get, how much are they going to earn. That is the ultimate goal now. Rarely you see a student coming into your course and say, I want to be a good role model for, for this area, or I want to be a leading scientist, I want to be somebody who is leading this innovative world. No, not really. All they care, even in different fields, even in civil engineering, even in computer science, you'll see them, can I get a job so that I can earn like 5K, 8K a month, right after? That is the ultimate goal that we are heading. It's kind of sad, but then that's the reality that we're facing. So we go to part 2 first, then we go to part 3, because this conversation is going to be very, very interesting. I have a couple of tools listed here. I put the useful tool. I intentionally avoid the word pitfalls or drawbacks. I just focus on the potentials. We focus on the positive, but of course the negative side are quite a lot. But it's up to abuse. If students want to abuse, they can. Just that we focus more on the potential. And talking about this lower thinking and all that, yesterday I raised a point as well. The one that we should be helping are the one that doing all this copy and pasting. If you notice, any of our students are doing all this copy and pasting a lot from all these generative AI tools. Those are the one that we need to focus on and help more, because obviously they are having trouble with the learning process itself. Those good ones, those intelligent ones, will do whatever they can to make use of all these tools, right? And they don't really need us, actually, right? I'm sure you have 1 or 2 students in the class that they don't really need us. They can do whatever they want as long as you give the task. They will perform well because they know how to navigate through all these challenges. But the ones that keep on copy and pasting, the one that are clueless, the one that don't even know what they're doing, those are the ones that we should be helping more. So yeah. So first thing is, of course, the ChatGPT. This is like every time you talk about generative AI, this is the one that you will remember, ChatGPT. And the one that I'm showing you is the GPT-4 engine. Now, GPT-4 is only for those with Plus. I'm sure some of you are subscribed to the Plus version as well. If you have not, then probably, out of curiosity, if you want, you can sign up for 1 month and see the difference. Because the one that you're using, the free one, is running on 3.5, the old GPT 3.5 Turbo. It's not really that extensive in terms of the writing style and output. But if you're using the Plus version with running GPT-4, it's about 90 ringgit per month. You can sacrifice your Astro or sacrifice your your whatever Netflix for a couple of months and then just use it for 1 month. Just have a look, and you can see things like this. Like if you ask it to do a rubrics, it will be more accurate. I mean, not to say accurate, it will be more creative in a way because of the database size. And they just recently launched on the 27th September, a couple of days ago, GPT-4 Vision, GPT-4V. It's not available yet in Malaysia, but some of the function has been around in other platform. What happened is OpenAI also released all this code to other third-party developers. So developers like Bing is using GPT-4V now. So or any other apps that are using GPT engine, they have this function. What happened is, because of the vision, you can upload images like this. Like, say you have problem with Excel, if you're learning, if you're from a self-regulated learner point of view, your lecturer is not around, right? You have trouble figuring out how to use Excel. You can just snapshot the Excel here, and then how do I use blah 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 blah. So ChatGPT will scan through all this image, I mean the content in the image, and will start to give you the solution. So if you try the solution, it's actually correct. How do you use VLOOKUP in this set data set? So it helps you to scan through images, right? So to the current one, if you have not used it before, then you can go to chat.openai.com and then try it out. But I can show you this. So I have 4 with me here, right? So what happened is, if you have with 4, it also allows you to do a couple of things. Now you have browse with Bing, you have advanced data analytics. This is for them, this is not for you. But if you want it to browse, then it will search through Bing. And then the best thing is this one, plugins. If you click on plugins, then you can install different types of plugin. Now the problem with OpenAI is, the problem with ChatGPT 3.5 is when you ask them to generate references, sometimes it create fake ones, wrong one or some artificial, hypothetical kind of references. So you can install Scholarly, you can install Scholar Assist, and there's so many other plugins where the references are all cross-checked with the databases around the world. For example, Google Scholar, different databases, and the references are all generated accordingly, right? So, and then you can also go to plugin store here. You can see multitudes of things, right? There are many. In fact, there's so many pages actually, right? So you can go through and install later. I mean, if you want to try it out. But I'm going to show you what I mean by why is it powerful and why the student, honestly, if you have a course outline and you give the student the course outline, if they are keen of learning the content or the course, they don't need us. They can finish the whole course on their own if they want to. It's like self-instructional material, but without any content. All you have to feed is the course outline. Because from the course outline, if you feed it to ChatGPT Plus or GPT-4, it will generate all the content. Of course, like I said, our job now is to just verify that you are aligned to the curriculum or you are aligned to the LO and whatnot, right? Because ChatGPT cannot do that. Because cannot do that as in they have no layer of aligning to our requirements. But imagine if ChatGPT also has access to the alignment, let's say MQA requirements or curriculum standards and whatnot. If they have it in their database, basically they don't need us, right? The student can learn on their own. For example, this one you can ask. It's not loading well here. Yeah, this one. If you install this plugin, you can even ask ChatGPT to draw a diagram, to draw a mind map and everything right on the ChatGPT platform itself without having to do it on your own. Or if you want to do rubric just now, this one. If you want to do modification, you can just type out, I would like to change criterion 1. So criterion 1 will be pronunciation and articulation. Then it will detect and then it will start to change. So it changed it to this one. So, you can keep on doing this until you're happy with the output and then you use it. This is from our point of view, if you want to use it for rubrics. I don't want to go into detail because you have another session on this. So on assessment, how you can use all these ChatGPT tools, ChatGPT and other tools for assessment. But if you're a lecturer who has never have a rubric before, now you can ask ChatGPT to generate for you, right? Something like that. Drawings, coding, right? If the student, if they are interested to learn coding, they can just show me a code snippet on how do you do a website sticky header, then it will give the coding. And then if you copy the code and run it on your HTML file and all that, it will work, right? Because of the cross-check engine and all that. So what I mean here is you can do a lot of things with ChatGPT. The problem now is if you tell students to go to ChatGPT, all they know is give the topic and answer the question. They don't really know how to go beyond. That's why it ends up like very low level of usage, low level of thinking in a way. Give a question and then answer, that's it. They don't really know how to use ChatGPT as a way to learn, like a mentor, right? If you don't understand, you can keep asking until you understand, right? Like if you give a topic, write a 1-page essay on the danger of AI to higher education. For example, then it will start to churn out all this kind of, for someone who is good, someone who is putting more effort will actually read through, right, and start to question. I don't think this is right. So can you add some, ask ChatGPT to add more references or something. At least they're putting more effort to ensure that the output generated by, ChatGPT is usable in their context, right? They don't just like this copy and then paste and send. I'm sure I actually encountered a couple of articles recently because I was reviewing the article. It's quite obvious that the author copied and pasted because everything is copied like this. You can see this being copied as well. It's like they put no effort at all to rephrase or to change and everything. And as mentioned by Madam Sajiti just now, if you read the sentence, you will realize some sentences are not really natural, are not really natural to the usage that we are, commonly used in our context. For example, like this: the danger lies in the potential dilution of the quality of education. You definitely know this is not from the students. I rarely encounter any student actually use this word.
Can I add something?
Yeah.
The student even use ChatGPT to write emails. So
yeah. To
get
reply
email
your
that
email.
says, "I hope this email find you well." Then a
Yeah.
whole long email just to ask about something.
Yeah, because this is like over reliance on it as a form of communication where they think that, okay, I don't need to think anymore. I just have to ask ChatGPT to just think for me without going through everything. But the good ones, I'm sure you have seen some good one. Once they get this, they will know all these are nonsense, but they will just get the main point and then start to regenerate or maybe write out a different form, or maybe start to ask ChatGPT to humanize it. Humanize as in make it more human rather than AI, right? So uh, I will not go into detail on this, but you can let me know what else you want to know about ChatGPT, because everyone has been talking a lot about ChatGPT. Where as long as it's churning out all these things, there's no way for you to stop it from happening. One buffer is always focused on other skills apart from written text. This is where you have to do more work, like ask them to talk to you, present, and all that. That will be more work on our end. But then you have to balance out with other way of measuring, not relying only on essays or only on written output, which is quite tricky because we are so used to this for so many years, right? The one that I want to introduce as well now is, oh yeah, this one. Yeah, this four, actually there are many, but I want to focus on, for this session I want to focus on four. The one that I think people overlook is this tool, because people are so into ChatGPT, and because ChatGPT, of course, is the mainstream one. The OpenAI group has done tremendously well in publicizing it and all that. But we tend to overlook the increasing capability of this tool, Bing and Bard. But Bing actually runs on GPT-4. Bard is on its own Palm, Google's own Palm language model. But I'll go to Bing Chat first. Bing Chat, what is useful is every single thing is highlighted with the resources. So at least if you ask something, Bing will Google. I mean, not Google. Bing will Google. Bing will search the net and find all these materials, wherever relevant one, and start to highlight, and then you can verify whether you want to use it or not. So for those who are, if you really want to deal with these students who are not doing well in terms of using all these generative AI, you need to tell them how to use it well. As in, like I said, verify all these sources. If they start copying everything, including all this 1, 2, 3, and put it in the references, you definitely know this student are just not doing any, not putting enough effort in completing the task, because everything is copy and pasted. But you have to teach them, like, okay, you can go to this source and verify, and then if you want to get the idea, you can rewrite, or I don't want you to rewrite, I want you to tell me in a different form, or something like that. Okay, so but again, the benefit of Bing is that it can search the net immediately, even though ChatGPT allows that, but it's a bit slower. So you can see the contrast here. And another thing is, because of GPT-4 vision here, you can actually upload images now. Go to Bing Chat and you can upload, and you can say like this one: describe this photo in 30 words. So it will scan through the photo, and then it will tell you a possible description of the photo in 30 words is a tranquil scene, a person, blah 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 blah. So which is relevant to the photo, right? So if you want to see, let me just, where is my Google Chrome now? Yeah, this one. So if you want to try, you can go to Bing. Just go to Bing, actually, bing.com. When you search something, you have a chat here. Just change it to chat, right? Just change it to chat. And then all you have to do is click this, add an image, upload from this device, right? And then ask something about that image. Okay, so you can try it out later, but it can do many things, like as shown here. Even all this the same thing that ChatGPT is doing. The only benefit is not to say the only, one of the benefit is this one. You can see the references listed for you. So you can actually verify like whether you want to click on this one, and then it will tell you where they get it from. So you can verify. But that verification process, normally, I think if you have 10 students, probably only 2 will do it. The other 8 will not do it because they will just take the easy way out and copy everything. So yeah, something for us to also educate our student to be cautious of that layer of verification, right? They have to do some checking as well. Okay, and also if you notice, Bing try to be fancy, try to be friendlier by making Bing chat even more creative. You can see the use of emoji here, some emotion going on, and once in a while, Bing's responses will be very human-like, as in he will say like, "I'm frustrated with you. I don't want to continue this conversation anymore." He will, Bing Chat is a bit nasty because it's not like ChatGPT. ChatGPT will just give you everything. Everything seems to be positive, but for Bing Chat, it added that layer of emotion, so-called artificial emotion, which I think is very annoying at times, where when you ask something, Bing can actually refuse to do it. And then macam moody lah, they refuse to do it and all that. But that layer of process is there. It's similar. Actually, they are running on the similar GPT-4 engine. Okay, so you can try it out. Just I think it's a bit underused, but I'm not saying that students should just use everything. You might want to introduce different possibility to student if you want to, and I think this is my what do you call it, my own personal view on this. When you start to show them in the class immediately, this is what you would do. I know you will copy this and all that. They start to be more careful of doing the assignment because they know right? If you pretend to keep silent on this, let's say you don't want to talk about it at all in your class, they think that you don't know, and they end up doing it more and more and more to you because they somehow think that they're beating they're beating the system just to make sure that their life is easier. But try maybe next week is the first week of the class. Immediately point blank in the class say, I know for some of the assessment in the class, you'll probably use all these tools like ChatGPT, Bard, and all that. Tell them how possible that the kind of usage is done. You can see the change in the way they do the assignment. I hope you can do this as a research anyway if you want to compare. If you tell, if you don't tell, because my own experience seems to suggest that every time you are more outspoken or you are more in a healthy discussion with your students about the tools, they will try to do the assignment in different form, or they will not blindly copy and paste it because they know right? And they will be they will be more careful. Okay, even if they try extra effort and keep on doing and redo using, at least they put more effort than just copy and pasting at the first output, right? Imagine if they generate a lot of output and start to make changes. At least you probably could appreciate the effort that they took in to modify and submit it to you, rather than just point blank copy and pasting, right? Something for us to also think about. Next one will be on the slide will be Bard, Google Bard. Google Bard, Bing uses Bing search engine, bard.google.com. It's still under experiment phase, same like ChatGPT, but Bard uses different language model, PaLM, by Google itself. Used to be very lousy, but recent release, the current, I think was it last 2 weeks, seems to be better now, and you can do different, like I'm writing a resume and need your help. Here's I want to say, so something that you want to say, and then you will start to put in all these things that you can put in your resume. I mean, you can do many things, but one thing that I'm quite surprised is this one. It also support image processing. So I uploaded this chart, right? With all the data, blah, blah, blah. And then I say, help me interpret this chart. And then it goes and interpret the chart. And it's when I read through the interpretation according to the chart, it's accurate. Like 100% accurate, as in everything mentioned in the description is correct. Now this means if you were to give an assignment, asking student to interpret a chart like this, then you'll be asking yourself, is this still a relevant skill for them to learn how to explain? Or you reverse it. Your assessment is reversed. So let's say your assessment sounds like this. Upload this on ChatGPT or, or all the generative AI tools. Take a look at the output, right? And then ask them to rewrite it in a simpler form in front of you now. For example, I mean, if you change that, I mean, I'm not asking you to do that, but imagine if you were to twist the assignment by doing so. So in the process of doing that, indirectly, they are learning the sentence pattern. They are learning how to read the data and compare whether it's correct or wrong. And they are learning how to write it in their own words in front of you immediately. So the learning process is happening, even though you may not get what you wanted. Initially, you wanted to give them the chart and then they write the output, right? Now that you know they will do this, then you reverse. So instead of asking them to write out immediately, then they have to compare first and rewrite in front of you, maybe in the class for like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, in a shorter version or in a summary, for example. So the learning process is there, but then it changes in the way of you. I mean, the output changes. The normal one will be give them this one, right? Now you have to twist it in a different way, yeah, Lotto 50 suggested you can do even prediction if you want to, because it's not in the chart, right? So now, in order for them to predict, they have to learn how the sentence patterns is used and how to write it in a form like in a future, like a forecasting method. So again, it's not the output that you wanted at first, because the output that you wanted is like this. But then now, because you know that they will do like this, you twist it. Yesterday, the same thing I told the lecturers. One way to know whether your assessment is okay with AI is like what was done just now. Ask all the ChatGPT the question that you want to ask. If ChatGPT can answer it well, very extensively, with all the references, then you might want to change your question or change your not to change your question. I mean, tweak the input, or maybe tweak the requirement a bit, right? Tweak the requirement instead of just asking them to write like a movie review just now from a popular movie that everyone knows. You might want to ask them to review a local movie that is not available online. I mean, not available online as in when you search, there's like one review done by somebody, right? So obviously ChatGPT has no access, or maybe only one limited access. So it cannot be too creative in coming up with the output. So if you ask ChatGPT to come up with the output, you will know that it will start to put up some wrong information or some made up facts and all that. Then you know that that is the good question. But we can only go as far, because this thing will go and become better and better and better. So it's going to be very tricky, right? I mean, the trick is ask ChatGPT. If the ChatGPT or any generative tool give you the wrong answer, then that's the question you ask your student. Because if the student copy and paste from the sources, that means they are copying without thinking, right? So if you ask something in these generative tools and the generative tools are giving you the accurate answer immediately, then you might want to avoid asking that kind of question, or maybe you have to rephrase, like what we are doing now. Try to twist the way we ask all this thing. But again, it will actually make changes to the skills that you are testing or the skills that we are evaluating. It also means our LO will change. And unfortunately, sometimes we can't change our LO that fast, right? Sometimes, you will be questioned, why are you doing this when your LO didn't say it? But, because your LO is like 5 years ago, still testing on something which is not really relevant now, then you might want to think about how to review it later. But that's the thing. I was saying this as well. It also means, is it still relevant to have LO? Because somehow it's like so tricky now, right? Whatever LO you have, it can change overnight. Like suddenly, they say Google Bard has all this extensive database of your topic or your course. Whatever you try to test or whatever you try to achieve, I mean, if you are talking about assessment point of view, then it'll be tricky. But if you're talking about teaching and learning experience, that will be a different ball game altogether. Because all this while, when we teach, when we align to LO, we focus a lot on assessment. How are you going to test? How do we want to know the student's ability and all that? We focus a lot on that part. But if you want to create the learning experience, like what I did just now, how do they learn the sentence patterns? How do they learn how to decode the facts? Then I think it will be still okay. I mean, all these tools will still be relevant, will be really helpful. But if we talk about the testing alone, then this is it's going to be a dangerous tool altogether, right? Because the focus is on the testing part only, not on the teaching learning experience that the students will be getting. Okay, so Googlebot has also access to all this. You can click this double check response, which is a feature that I like as well. Let's say this is written or whatever information is given by Googlebot, you can just click double check responses, and then you will Google up on Google and then tell you, okay, this is correct. Or it will list out some resources available. You can see here, it's highlighted, understand the result or click. Then you will tell you where you get it from and all that. Okay, for example, I mean, this is not really asking a question about some specific question, but you can ask ChatGPT to actually verify. Same thing with mathematical questions or equation. You can upload the image of that equation, and then ChatGPT, Googlebot, or even ChatGPT will try to help answer it. Right. So these are the trends now. It's scary, but then at the moment, or for now, if you localize your questions or your topics, it'll be quite interesting to test. Meaning to say, all these generative AI tools will not be able to generate favorable responses. Like I said just now, yesterday we tested in real time. I did something about Kota Samarhan. All the facts are all wrong. Then you know that these are the things that probably you have to put into your assessment. Say localize, right? Say localize, or even put in other extra materials that you need to ask them to refer to, right? Like read this article and then and then put it in a different form from a different point of view, at the same time relate it to the context which is localized. If you just ask student to summarize, then it will be no longer that easy, because they can just ask ChatGPT or any tool to summarize the whole article for them, right? Without any thinking process going on. Okay. Yep, that's a good point. I think that's what I mentioned here. We can interview the student, ask them again. All this, any attempt for us to stop cheating or plagiarism from happening, if you notice, means more work, right? So the same question I asked to the lecturers yesterday: if you're willing to spend time to verify, to do that kind of verification, to do that layer of checking and all that, it's fine. In fact, that would be good. That would be the best way to solve all this issue. Like at least has another layer of checking. But the thing is, are we willing to do that? Imagine if you have 300 students. If writing a 3-page essay is the way to go, how are you going to check one by one? Like actually verify the resources, verify and interview every 300, every one of the 300 students. It's going to be very hard, right? So yesterday, I mean, another lecturer said, okay, then we go back to the paper and pen testing, because they have to write on the spot and then put everyone in the hall and increase the final exam marks. I mean, that's not the point. You see, every time we talk about this kind of topic, we are so bogged down by the assessment and testing part. We really forget about the teaching and learning experiences. What students wanted is actually the teaching and learning experiences. But if we go to the class every single day, focus only on the exam, focus only on the assessment, that's why the students are like that. Because they just want to get it done. They don't really care whether the teaching learning process is meaningful or not. They just want to say, okay, what's the assignment? What's the next one? Give me, I will do it, and I'll submit. That's it. So, and then we at our end, okay, I give you a mark, I give you the result, and that's all. This is going to be forever, right? You never ending, and whether you like it or not, we're gonna kill ourselves in the long run if we keep on doing like this, right? But anyhow, something for us to think. It's not like we can solve it. We can solve it immediately, but something for us to think about, and also ponder on our future. Yesterday, I was saying, the more we promote about AI, actually, we are actually promoting the end of our journey as an educator. Because the more AI is being used, the more all these tools are being integrated in teaching and learning, our role is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. Imagine now, a PhD student who is doing a thesis no longer requires a supervisor, because he or she can write a thesis on his own with the help of these generative AI tools, coming up with all kind of write up and everything based on the data that they have collected. Actually, you don't need the supervisor anymore. I mean, if in the long run, if this is happening, right? So even in teaching and learning as well, if we are just focusing on the assessment bit, we are not really needed. But if you're talking about the experiences, then that's the part where no AI can replace, right? No AI can replace that. So because you cannot put a robot in a class and then start to create that engaging experience. It's our job to do that, okay? But anyhow, something for us to 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 venture into. How do we capture or measure the lean velocity? Yeah. Very loaded question that I think it's going to be very hard to talk about. Again, anytime we talk, why do we go for outcome-based education in the first place? Because outcome is the easiest way to measure. Outcome as in our so-called outcome-based assessment or outcome-based, even though we say it's outcome, we value the output only because we align the outcome with the initial LO. That's it. We don't really care what's happened in between. We see the output. Okay, you get this with the LO, then yeah, you're aligned. But we don't really measure the process. The moment we measure the process or what we call as competency based assessment, more work. More work, right? Like writing. If I want to really train my student to be good writer, I won't be asking them to type. I won't be asking them to go and find resources. I will be sitting with them. Okay, now take a piece of paper. Let's write the first sentence together. That's the right way to train the skill. Unfortunately, how many of us has the liberty or time to do it now? Long time ago, yes. I still remember when I was doing my first year. We are still being forced to bring articles into the class. We write out these sentences together in the class. Those days are gone, right? We ask students to do it in the phone, on the tablet, wherever they type it out, and then whenever it's with a gadget, they don't really practice the skills of writing. They just copy and pasting most of the time because of that kind of intervention. So it's going to be tricky in the future, but it also makes us think about what do we want actually in our education. Yeah, this is just a highlight. And then for images, images. Just now was tagged. This is just to help those who are curious. I know some people are curious about how do they do this? How do they do all these kind of images? The popular one is Midjourney, and another one is Stable Diffusion. But Midjourney and Stable Diffusion somehow are no longer available totally for free. Like Midjourney, you have to pay now. Stable Diffusion, if you need to use third-party apps, or if you are into open source, then you can install it on your server and run it on your own. But it's not really friendly for the front end user. But one that is quite easily available now is firefly.adobe.com. At the moment, it's still free because it's beta version. Once it's no longer beta, I think you have to pay. Now, all these tools for teaching and learning means you probably need some graphic for the teaching, or maybe our students they need it for their projects and whatnot. They don't have to be graphic design. They just have to type the prompt and then they can generate it. Like this one. If I were to show you, sorry, let me. Yeah, this is Firefly, Adobe Firefly. There are many tools here: text to image, generative fill. This is Photoshop magic. If you have a half photo like this, right? Suddenly you miscapture something. You can use generative fill to generate exactly the identical half immediately using AI. So I don't have an example. Do I have an example here? Maybe this one. So let's say if I were to change this part, right? For example, and then I would just ask something to insert. Let's say, I mean, this is a very lazy change the background to a school setting. For example, this is for you to play later on. Then it will start to generate using some the background neural engine, and then start to detect. You can see suddenly this part becomes like a school set because of the. Can you see that? This is generated real time, and this is how people fill up the thing. If you want to insert object, you can also insert object. Like if you put here, let's say keep here. Let's say here, this part, you can say insert A robot. Or maybe you don't have to put insert, just put a robot. Okay, for example, just generate. So this is generative field. So it will start to scan through the photo and try to generate object. You can see the robot is not really clear. Yeah, something like hanging eye or something. So if you don't like it, you can cancel and then regenerate until you're happy. Then you can keep, right? Of course, my prompts are very lousy. You can have very specific prompt, like a robot with 2 eyes, blah blah blah, and all that. Then it will generate accordingly. So this is an example of what you can do. But in Adobe Firefly, you can also do this text to image. You can see all these stunning images. All these are fake, not really real, right? And for illustrators, their life is getting harder to get proper, compensation now. I've seen a lot on recently, a lot of discussion by illustrators. Remember those days you pay a lot of money for illustrator to illustrate your book? Like when you want to have storybook and all that, you pay a large number of like a large sum, right? For your illustrator to draw. Now, because of all this, you can generate illustration for your book immediately without having to pay, an illustrator. So you can see the trend now. In fact, a lot of people are generating income from publishing books using all this illustration. So what you can do here is just type something here. Let's say a boy holding a pen that looks like a snake, for example. But then this one, I intentionally use human because this is the part where you will see some flaws. You can see here a boy holding a pen that looks like a snake. Of course, if it's a pen basically holding a snake, right? But if it's human, you can see some flaws, right? In the anatomy, you can see the hand is a bit weird. You can see the face also is a bit weird. Can distorted hands and all that. Human figures tend to be a bit. You can have a lot of distortion at the moment. Any engine, even Midjourney has problem with that. But you can change this. You can change different different style, different type of content and all that, and generate itself. So I'm not asking you to like use it immediately in your class, but this is one form of generative AI also. It's not just text. It can be images, it can be video, it can be audio, it can be many forms of media, as long as the generative model is able to generate. I think the voice is also quite scary. Now you can record your own voice for like let's say 30 seconds voice. You talking, you just talk naturally for 30 seconds. The next one, you just type the text. They will generate the text according to your voice. So as if you are the one talking. So it's quite scary. This is where all this fake news will utilize all this voice, assuming that it's spoken by that person. Actually, it was not, or even deep fake videos and all. Video is a bit harder to use because it's quite obvious. You can still detect the flaws. But audio is quite scary because you don't see the face, right? You just listen to the audio. You don't see the facial expression and all that. So it's quite dangerous because you can do some fake statements by a person even though the person never said that, right? So yeah, that's the world that we are in now. Okay, another one is apart from Adobe, you can try Adobe Firefly later on. Just go to firefly.adobe.com, sign in. It's free at the moment, and you can try all these tools. If you are thinking about decorating your e-lib, then maybe you can use all these tools like deco your e-lib. Apart from Canva, I think Canva is also popular. Canva added this feature as well. Text to, if you go to Canva, they also have this Canva magic where you can convert text into images. If those of you who are using Canva, another one is Clip Drop by Stability AI, which is actually Stable Diffusion, part of the Stable Diffusion group. So you can do something like this is same thing like just now. Give a text, it will generate the images. This is uncrop. I also like this one. You know what I mean? What you mean by uncrop? Let's say you have a photo already cropped, and then you lose out the whole setting. You can just ask this tool to uncrop it by creating a fake, fake fill up, we call it. Like sometimes when you travel and then you take a photo and then you are like half cut and then you want to fill up the rest, so you can just upload it here and then it will try to fill up so that it looks nice, so that the whole landscape is clear. So you can also have reimagine. So it will change this photo into another. You can see the difference by reimagining. This one is quite popular already. Remove background, clean up. If you have object, you can remove the objects from the photo. This is something I like, Stable Doodle. This is quite unique to this tool. So let's say you have an idea in your mind. You can go to this clipdrop.co and then just draw something. Let's say I'm using the mouse. It's not so nice. Okay. Like you give a little bit of prompt. Just say a carrot man. Generate. It will generate based on the prompt and then kind of follow your initial sketch. So it can kind of follow you see? Because you draw it like that, so you can have like that, and then because of your hand, but this one is not, maybe half. If you don't like it, and then you can regenerate. So it's quite fun to use. Sometimes to reimagine your things. So you have certain ideas, so you will change it. So this is quite close to what I wanted, for example. But of course, you can still change this prompt. But these are all generative AI. That's why I said generative AI actually uses what we already have for a couple of decades, actually. All this algorithm, neural network, everything has been there. But then they put it in front for us, user like us, who has no computer science background or no idea what's happening before this, to use it immediately in front of us like a normal web interface or even app interface. Makes life easier. So you don't need complicated coding. You don't even need any complicated commands. All you have to do is just give a prompt, and then you can get whatever you want. So those not those. Every one of us who are into all this, teaching and learning process involving all this media, we have to rethink on what do we want to focus on, right, in the process. Because, like I said, this is just a very tiny tip of the iceberg. There's so many now. I think the latest list that I saw has close to 1,000 already. Generative AI tools, 1,000. The one that we keep talking about is ChatGPT. There are so many specific ones. In fact, there are a couple of tools specifically for, like, say, thesis writing and all that, just for thesis writing, legal document writing, specific ones. And the interesting thing is, if you ask all the industry players, they are okay with this. In fact, they want it to be fast. Because they want it to be fast, they allow the employees, our future graduates, to do this. Like I told you just now, a case mentioned by one lecturer yesterday. And if you maybe this year will be a nice year for us to do this survey. Those going out for internship or whatever, we can ask the student, or even those who are graduating, we can ask them whether the employers are okay with all these generative AI tools. In fact, they will, even like copywriting now, like my students who are from linguistic before this, they can earn quite a lot from copywriting. Now they can't earn much, because it has been taken over by all this ChatGPT and all that. The boss says, I don't need you anymore. I can do it on my own. So it's also disrupting the the job market, and it makes you think whether how to put it, makes you think whether you are teaching the right thing for them, right? This session has made you feel like somewhat like a computer science course. Yeah. Sort of. Because AI, right? We're talking about AI. But I didn't go into technicalities. I don't want to go into technicalities as well. But this is just all front end. Imagine all this, even though it sounds technical to a lot of us, it's common language to the current generation. If you follow them on social media and all that, you realize they are using this. To do a lot of things, like what was mentioned just now, even replying emails, even constructing the posts on Facebook, on Instagram. A lot of time they use all these tools. So if we don't know the existence, or we have never tried to use it, then it makes it tricky for us to monitor, right? Okay, this is just an example just now. I think we'll go to part 3, which is the interesting part, the last part of this. Managing issues of ethics and integrity when it comes to generative AI. I posted this question a couple of times. Yesterday I posted it as well. Now I'm going to post it again. To what extent can we allow or to what extent can we allow AI generated content to be used? If you were to use percentage, it will be tricky, right? How many percent would you allow? Or you don't allow at all? Or would you allow 100%? Yesterday, I think the consensus was, it depends on the type of content, right? Sometimes you can go more 50, sometimes you can go for 70. But I don't think you will allow 100%, definitely, right? I mean, as in 100% is definitely a big no because they are not doing anything to it. Even 70% is quite high, right? But again, this kind of question will be hard for us to answer. We will go back to the policy, right? And then people will say, there's no policy for this, right? If students use 100%, what are you going to do about it? There's no policy stopping it from happening, right? There's no policy happening. Yeah, again?
Actually, Kiman, there is also no policy for plagiarism.
I just wanted to say that. You had it in, yeah. I mean, it's tricky because our role now is to stop them from doing it, right? And even for plagiarism, if we caught them from having a very high similarity, then we will be the one question on why didn't you help the student to reduce the similarity and all that. I mean, that kind of issue, because the policy that is not really clear. What are we going to do about it? Or if we don't want to penalize the student, or let's say we want to help the student, what can we do from our side, or from our role as an educator? So it's quite tricky. As long as there's no clear policy, it's going to be very hard. I think until now we don't have a clear policy even at the KPT level. I remember the minister actually said we will have one soon, but until now I have not seen one yet, right? And I assume the other universities will just follow the KPT version lah. That's the common practice. So, as long as KPT is not releasing anything, so we can't do much because that's it. But at our level, I think we have to ask this. I like these memes, the cycle of guilt, because you see, like this one. Hey, ChatGPT, can you write an attack without copying from others? No, can you? For example, or the student is using ChatGPT to cheat on the homework, and then suddenly ChatGPT who wrote the question said, this looks familiar, and then the teacher is like this, because the teacher generated the question using ChatGPT and give the question to the student. So it's like ChatGPT is confused, like, why are you asking me this question again when the question is, is generated from me? So if we are using it to help us in our job, to help us in our assessment, to help us in doing our day-to-day tasks, are we trying to say that because we can use it, the student cannot use it? Or if student want to use it, are we going to teach them to use it properly? Or we should stop them from using altogether? I mean, all these possible questions will come into our mind, because just like any other tool, it's going to be very hard to control. Whether you like it or not, it's going to be very hard to control. And even if you have a clear policy, like you mentioned just now, let's say we have a policy saying that, okay, you cannot exceed 30%. How do you know, right? Because all these tools, like the one that I'm going to show you now, these tools, these are for images. These images is quite easy to detect. The hardest one is this, the text. The common one, I think I've tested quite a number, but this two seems to be the most accurate one. Even the most accurate one has problems. Because if you don't believe me, you can go to gpt0.me or just search GPT-0. Just spontaneously type something. Just spontaneously type a paragraph or two. And then you will notice that it will still say how many, like let's say 30 to 40% AI generated. So it means the scanning mechanism is not even accurate or cannot be 100% sure. So how do we have a policy in place saying that if this tool says that it's 30%, okay, you have to penalize how many marks? It's very hard because we cannot even ensure that this is accurate to begin with, right? And as this language model expand, it will become even more natural. It will become even scarier because now you are looking at GPT-4 right? Imagine, like I shared before this, imagine when it's version 5, version 6, when you start to adopt more style of writing or more style of expressing ideas or more way of, different parts of the world, like Asian way of writing things or even Malaysian way of writing things, it's going to be very hard to even know which is which now, right? So the only way to go perhaps is to go out from that text-based kind of output and go for other means of assessing your student and cross-check, which again goes back to my concern of more work. So are you willing to do that to ensure that the quality is there, or we just want to keep the status quo, just do the text-based one, just get it done, just help them maybe help them do some necessary changes and then finish, right? Because yeah, I don't know, because it's quite tricky to answer. Even now, if you notice, ChatGPT is not really good in Bahasa Melayu, right? In fact, if you ask a student to submit assignment in Bahasa Melayu, probably it will be easier to know. I mean, it would be easier way to measure them. But then we are talking about their competency in the English language again, right? So I don't know. It's gonna be very hard to answer. But you can try it later. For text, it's gpt0.me, then copyleaks.com. For images, I think no matter what app you're using, it's quite easy to detect, because all these images generated from these generative AI tools has a marker in the metadata. If you use Midjourney to produce images, when you read the code, I mean, when you go on and open a JPEG file, a PNG file, it will have one marker saying that it's Midjourney. So this tool actually will just detect that one. So it's quite easy to detect, right? And if you upload your own photo, you will not have that marker. I mean, marker as in the metadata behind the images. All our images have data, right? I mean, for those who think that this is a computer science class, like when you take a photo on using your phone, if you click on the photo, you will see the metadata down there. You will say taken using iPhone, taken using Samsung. All these are metadata. So if you use Midjourney or all these generative AI tools, it will have that metadata as well. So like then the markers. If you use Stable Diffusion, for example, it will also say that, okay, this is generated using Stable Diffusion. So it's quite easy to detect. For images, it's quite easy to detect. The tricky part is always the text, because of the endless possibility of mixing all these words, the variety, the styles, all right? Even though you can see the pattern there, but it's going to be hard for you to just say, okay, this student is copy and pasting everything, right? So to answer the question just now, whether you can can know whether it's 100%, unfortunately, no. You cannot be 100% sure. The only way to know is whether you when you ask the student to sit in front of you, write it out, and then you can start to have like what Madam Sajati did, have a baseline. I have a baseline of the ability. Moet used to be a good indicator, because Moet has a lot of this, because before this, the writing was quite heavy. The way Moet was designed, the Malaysian University English test was designed, focused a lot on higher level English, C1. If it's CFR, the language common European framework for language, is quite high, C1, C2. But now, the recent changes to Moet, it pitched according to B2 to C. For those who are not familiar, it means from lower level to up. So the Moet question now is actually slightly easier. I'm not saying that it's easy, but it's slightly easier. So those getting Moet Band 4, Band 5 may not be as good as those who are getting Band 4 and Band 5, like 10 years ago and all that, because the changes in terms of the questioning. So if you want to use as a baseline for language, you can ask your student for the Moet results. Obviously, if it's a Moet Band 1, but then can submit an assignment in a perfect language, perfect English with no grammar error, then something is not right. That's another way for you to probably buffer. But it's not really an accurate way to also judge student based on the Moet result as well, because they can, they can improve after that. Okay. Yeah, this is turning in. I think Calm has activated the AI writing part as well. If you turn it in assignment, you can always check for AI writing part, and you will highlight, and then it will tell you like this is determined to be generated by AI. Even then, it's not that accurate. Dr. Adiman said, do we need to? If you need to, I mean, maybe you don't have to, but if you need to, If I think that would have a baseline, right? That would give you a baseline. I mean, you can just set up a simple poll on your elite, like what I normally do as well, just to check. But then they can cheat, right? So if you want to go a layer, then ask them to upload their web result. In fact, I think we can retrieve from the system maklumat pelajar actually. So maybe we can request to I don't know, all the students' name now has to come with word band somewhere in a database where we can actually see the students' band. Maybe, yeah, maybe. But again, this is not compulsory. But if you're suspicious, that's one way. But even then, it's not really accurate, right? I have seen students with band 5, but then couldn't write properly. I don't know what happened. Maybe during exam he just regurgitated everything, but somehow student with band 5 couldn't write a proper academic text. I mean, before it happens, but at least it gives you some indication of the level. Okay, I mean, not compulsory, but something for you to consider. Yeah, which I want to kind of end this session by reiterating the the words of Paul LeBlanc. Uh, he was saying that we're asking the wrong question, because what is the role of knowledge when all knowledge is immediately available? Our role has changed actually. I really think so. Before this, we always have this, when we go to class, we prepare all the content in the slides, all the materials in different resources. We go to class and then we are ready to give them everything. But then we realize now they don't really need everything anymore, because at the point when they need to search for something, they can do that, right? So much of our work is to make students know what they should as graduate in a given discipline. But will ChatGPT drive us to competency-based models of education in which what they can do with that, with what they know, becomes the key question. So if they know all this, like all these things that we have given them, if they can do beyond just copy and pasting and submit assignment in the form of essays, would that be better? Or are we just okay with the fact that, okay, they have learned something from us and then they just write essay? And would that be enough for them to be competent in the current world? Something for us to really ponder, right? I think this is why KPT over the past couple of years, in the last 3 to 4 years, has during the pandemic launched this framework, the Excel framework, experiential learning and competency-based education landscape. If you take a look at this Excel framework, inside it, with all these real, ideal, care, and poise, we are trying to go away from text-based assessment, not test, text, anti assignment, do report kind of thing. We are going more on the real experiences of doing something, right? And then find out ways to capture all these processes that they are doing. Like poise, for example, is quite radical because it's passion-based. Care is community driven, and then you have also real, where research driven. So you have students get involved doing something, like all these projects that you have, and then they just have to report what they gain from the process, maybe in a different format, or maybe even if it's in text, it could be in a different form, not a lengthy one, because we know that they can just churn out everything. But at least they go through the process, the experience. Even if the report is generated by ChatGPT, you know that that's only 10%. 90% comes from the experience of them going through this, going up and down, doing the project with the community and everything. The 10% is only coming from ChatGPT. I think it's good enough, right? I mean, at least they learn something from the whole process. Okay. And if you have further questions, you can ask me later. But just want to promote this one. if you are interested to know how generative AI is, you should follow the session on the 18th October by Dr. Samsul. He has done a lot on this area, on how you can design proper assessment using generative AI, as well as how to avoid all these things that we've discussed today, like copy and pasting and cheating and all that. Okay. Yeah, it's very hard to control, right? Okay, I think I'm done. So if you have question, you can still share, or you want to share, go free to share your views. The slide is available, bit.ly AICom/AICom, if you want to download the slides, just in case. Let me see. bit.ly. Yep. while AI can be, I have a question there, right? While AI can be beneficial in education, we also see how it can be unethical. So why is it accessible for all that? Why is the usage not made limited? At least limited to relevance, and then what would you learn? This is tricky. This is like issue of human rights. Because I think you just mentioned I because NA, I don't know the initial. So yeah, you just highlighted what Elon Musk was saying, because he said the same thing, because he believed that AI should be limited to only specific groups of scientists and all that, not released in public, like what's OpenAI is doing. Obviously, it goes back to the economic advantage. I think I mentioned this. Our education system, and whatever industry in this world, somehow is being uh, dominated by economic reasons, because they want to disrupt the whole thing, and they are earning a lot as well. And then they believe that they are doing justice to to everyone. Actually, they are not. They are killing more people. I mean, indirectly, right? They are killing more people indirectly, because they when they are not leveling the playing field. I mean, initially they thought AI would level the playing field. Everyone will have equal access. Everyone will have equal, like what I mentioned just now. Before this, only certain group of people will be able to use it. Now everyone can do it. They thought that that's the fair game, but what you can see now is a different case. The highly intelligent one will continue to use this to their own benefit, and the not so intelligent one will just stuck there, and then not knowing what to do with it, and then end up being not competent at all in whatever, because if they go out to the workplace, they either generate very low level all these things, right? Low level kind of generative AI output, or they will be replaced by a generative AI tool, or a robot or whatever, because they are neither there nor here kind of situation where, you know, let's say from a language student point of view, let's say you graduated with a linguistic degree. You're supposed to have all this knowledge about all this linguistic, for a language, let's say English or Malay and all that. But now, if you go out to the industry, they don't need you. They want you to be writing stuff or something, right? For example. Then when you write something, they realize that your quality is low or lower than the ChatGPT version. Then they will say that I don't need you now. I just rely on ChatGPT. So one job gone, or one relevance gone. So again, it's quite hard to stop this from happening. And I understand why it's opening up, because of the economic benefit to everyone. And yeah, if you ask me honestly, I do hope that they will stop this, but I don't think they will stop, because it's going to be very hard. Okay, I don't know whether I answered that. Yeah. Dr. Hadiman said, I want a copy of your assignment. Can get easy for it to nah. You have to wait until I design it lah, because I just came back for a new course. I have to redesign everything for the whole course. Whole course, yes.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Kiman, for that insightful and informative sharing
Yep.
of your experience and knowledge to our audience here. Talking about how generative AI is useful in planning our teaching and learning, kan? Be it content, activities, or assessment,
Yeah.
with some questions or things that is left for us to ponder as well, lah.
A lot.
Kan?
Yeah.
A lot of things. There's no right or wrong. Even itulah, there's no right or wrong. There's always, of course, how do we use whatever is available now ni, technology ni kan, to our own apa nama, benefits as well lah kan.
But I would encourage everyone who are here today. Next week is the first week of the lecture, your class, right? I would encourage everyone to try and be open to your student, and have a healthy conversation with your student in the first class, saying that we know that all these tools exist, and have a proper healthy discussion and see their reaction.
Right.
You'll be surprised.
Yeah,
You'll be
I've
surprised
read.
that half of the class don't know it exists.
Betul. Kita tak tahu juga kan. Maybe some of the students are not aware as well kan of the
Yeah.
AI tools. Some of them might be, but not all probably. I've also read something about giving a guideline or how
Yeah.
to use
Policy.
AI kan, apa
Yep.
panduan ke macam mana kita nak menggunakan
Yep.
AI dalam kelas kita tu sendiri.
Yep.
So a lot of these resources is also available lah to be
yeah.
betul. You can get these resources online available out there to help us, to assist us on how we are going to plan ni kita punya teaching and learning there. Kan?
Correct.
As long as we are aware that there is this generative AI ni yang perlu kita ambil kira dalam kita punya teaching and learning. So kita tak boleh tak aware. We need to know about it. Okay. Any more questions from the audience? As what we mentioned by Mr. Chua Kiman tadi, kita ada, since this is
This one.
want to generate series
Help
tadi
promo.
tu, promo. We have two
Another one.
webinar, one webinar, one face-to-face. One is from Associate Professor TS Dr. Samsul Nur Azlan Muhammad, Director of Academic Assessment Evaluation Division from UiTM. Okay, kita tak buat webinar ni, mungkin kita akan fikirkan lah whether kita nak buat apa nama tu?
Hybrid.
Hybrid.
Live.
Okay. Yeah. So that a lot of us be able to join in. Because probably there's some of us 18th ni bila hari apa?
Should I would really encourage, because Dr. Samsul has done a lot in terms of how to design proper assessment, not just for using generative AI, but also things that we need to consider. In so-called AI proving, the one I mentioned just now. How do you avoid student from copy and pasting and all that? So something interesting. I look forward to the session as well.
I think and there's a lot of questions with regards to assessment, kan? Macam mana nak use AI tools for assessment design. And there's another one, humanizing and cultivating technology in global learning lah. On the 23rd of October, speaker would be Professor Madya Dr. Wan Marzuki Wan Jaafar lah, Dean of Faculty of Educational Studies from UPM. So just watch out for all this announcement ni dalam Facebook. Kam pun ada. I think Kam pun dah keluarkan email lah with regards to all this workshop. Okay. Any more questions? Thank you very much, Kiman, again.
No problem.
For being the speaker for today.
No
Kita ada
problem.
berapa ramai participant ni tadi. 100 lebih tak salah saya. Saya tengok tadi kan. Probably before we end, can we have apa nama? Biasalah, dah lama tak buat photo session. Kita ni buat photo session. Izzat, are you there? Miji ada ke?
I thought zaman COVID je ni.
Best juga. Tu dah lama tak buat kan?
Rindu zaman COVID ke?
Tak ada lah apa-apa kan.
Tak ada lah.
Tak ada lah kan. Kita tak nak rindu zaman COVID. Kita nak kerja. Okay, siapa ada tu? Okay. Everybody is on? Zura pun ada. Okay. We have a lot of us here. Right, okay. Can we start? Okay. Banyak page ni. Smile. Saya ambil saja ya. Okay. Siapa yang boleh capture juga lah.
Siapa yang ambil ni? Oh.
Saya ambil juga. Just in case. Okay. Okay. All right. So thank you very much to all.
Everyone.
We will have the recording for the session as well. Kita akan convertkan, kita akan letak kat YouTube Cam lah macam biasa.
No refreshment
Refreshment sendirilah.
Ada.
Betul tak ada. Kan sometimes kita ada buat juga refreshment. Kita hantar.
Yang kena buat fizikal kan. Okay. Take care everyone. All the best.
Thank you, Kiman again. Thank you everyone for the attendance. Bye-bye. See you next time.